Hello everyone, it's I, Whacky Anime What If here to present you with What If Deku ended up taking Temp-V. Let's go ahead and get into it. Currently, Izuku Midoriya is 4 years old and just now getting up out of bed. He's very excited as today's his birthday and he can awaken his quirk. Or we'll find out what it is from the quirk doctor. All he has to do is go to his mom's room and tell her to take him. And as Izuku is bouncing up and down on his bed, thinking about doing this, he decides to go ahead and do it. So he just fucking jumps out of bed, runs towards the front door of his room and forgets to open it, just fucking bashes into it, falls to the ground, gets back up, opens the door, runs out of it like the Tasmanian devil, and starts to barge into Inko's room, causing Inko to fucking panic and screaming, "What the fuck?" before Izuku just pounces on her, just hugging her, scaring the shit out of her, making her absolutely yeet him out of instinct. She fucking threw him across the room. Izuku ended up hitting a wall, saying, "My back," as he hit the ground. Izuku got up off the floor, and Inko just ran up towards him very hurriedly, very concerned too, acting as if she wasn't the one who just threw him across the room like a rag doll. But meanwhile, Izuku just says, "Why did you throw me?" Inko says, "Then why the fuck did you jump scare me?" She was said this in her head, but out loud she ended up saying, "Well, you see, you scared me a little bit, and I did that reflexively." And as Izuku just heard this, he decides to say, "Anyway, it's my birthday today. Can we go to the quirk doctor's office now?" Immediately, Inko says, "I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to wait a little bit." Inko says, "You're a little bit too eager. After all, we didn't even have breakfast yet." She immediately just takes Izuku down the stairs, and as they walk down the stairs, Izuku goes in the kitchen and she starts making some breakfast. She makes eggs, bacon, pancakes, and sausages. And as she makes this, Izuku, smelling this, starts to absolutely get starving. He starts to think, "I need it. I need it." And as Inko comes directly into the dining room with two giant plates stacked full of pancakes, eggs, bacon, and sausages. Izuku doesn't even wait till Inko sets the plates down on the dining table before inhaling up the plate full of food. He inhaled all of the food off of both plates. Inko ended up seeing this shit and started thinking, "Oh my god, my son is a fucking black hole. How did he do this? What is this sorcery?" Meanwhile, Izuku just has the most devious face while looking at his mom and says, "I'm still hungry." While Inko just says, "Wait a minute, hold up." She just goes into the kitchen and she starts making even more food. She starts making like fucking 50 different plates, but they all just get inhaled by Izuku. At this point, Inko just looked in the fridge and saw there was nothing left, while she just looks towards Izuku, seeing that he did not look exactly happy about hearing if they had no food. Izuku just looked towards his mom and said, "I'm still hungry, Mom." While Inko says, "I am too. I didn't even eat anything. You ate everything in the fridge. What's next? Are you gonna eat the fridge?" Immediately, Inko sees that Izuku is actually starting to look at the fridge like it's actual food, and may actually eat the fucking fridge. She starts to grab Izuku by the wrist and start to drag him out, as he's starting to act like Queso Jr. right now. And as Izuku's dragged all the way into the car, and they drive off to the quirk doctor's office, we time skip to Izuku. He's in the quirk doctor's office, specifically waiting for the quirk doctor. And as he walks in, directly opening the door, he looks towards Izuku and says, "Oh, hey there, kiddo. So I'm here to do a few little tests just to check if you have a quirk, or if you will develop one in the future. Nothing very big, it's just a whole life-changing event." And as the doctor says this, Inko just looks directly at the doctor with a really face, as his statement made Izuku a lot more nervous than he was previously. Izuku just looks like he's fucking panicking. Looks like he's just became a fucking wanted criminal. It was that amount of stress level that Izuku had. As the quirk doctor said, "All right, let's go ahead and get you on on that machine over there." They do a few X-rays with Izuku. They do a few reaction tests, and immediately the doctor just looks at the X-ray and says, "Oh, hey kiddo, so what did you want to be? I hope it wasn't anything that involved combat. What was it exactly?" The, immediately Izuku looked towards him and said, "I wanted to be a hero." The quirk doctor looks back towards the clipboard that has the results and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, but yeah, you can't be a hero, buddy. But maybe you can be a police officer. Isn't that fun? You can eat a lot of donuts, and you can catch some real bad guys. You can have a gun and go pew pew." Immediately, the doctor just says this, just trying to cheer up Izuku. As Izuku just looks like he's about to cry right now. Izuku actually does start crying, and the quirk doctor notices that fucking Izuku's tears are flooding his office right now, and he says, "Hey ma'am, can I go ahead and get you to take your son out? I'm very sorry." As Inko just looks towards the doctor, slaps the shit out of him for making her son cry, and goes up towards Izuku, just picks him up and starts dragging him out. Like, as Izuku's being carried out, crying his eyes out, we see that the quirk doctor feels pretty guilty. But later on, it shows that Izuku, after many hours of crying and being bribed with McDonald's, has finally stopped. But Izuku has started to think about All Might. After all, what would All Might do if he was quirkless? Would he still be a hero? Izuku thinks, yeah, he would be a hero. After all, he even said on TV that anyone could be a hero, so would it even matter if I'm quirkless? And as Izuku starts to think this in his little head of his, he starts to cheer himself up and starts to do a fucking happy dance. He starts to do the fucking gritty. And as he starts to do this, Inko looks towards him, and as they're in a McDonald's and they were just eating, and Izuku just busted into a fucking gritty, she seemed very embarrassed. We time skip to the next day as Izuku is just getting up out of his bed, going towards the restroom, taking a shower, putting on some clothes, walking down the stairs, and Inko's just there in the kitchen making some pancakes and some eggs. Also some grits. And as she makes these, she makes a ton. She makes like 5 giant plates worth. And as she does this, she puts them all on the dining table and hopes it's enough for the beast. But as she sees Izuku approach and sees him lock eyes with the food, Inko starts to think, "Come on, you can do it, food, you can do it." Inko then, at that moment, just blinks and just sees all of it gone when she opens her eyes. Every single scrap of food was fucking gone. And she could swear that she saw like half of a plate bitten off. And she just looked towards Izuku. Izuku just looks directly towards her and says, "Round 2, cook." Inko looks at Izuku in response and says, "You underestimate my cooking skills. I will make sure that you are completely full by the time you leave the house to go to school." And as Inko said this, Izuku says, "Challenge accepted." And as Inko goes into the kitchen and starts to cook, she didn't notice that she left the window open. So the smell of her cooking is leaking outside. And immediately that smell travels all the way to the next door neighbor that's right beside Izuku. And it's not Bakugo, it's his other next door neighbor that's right beside him on his right side, named Queso. And as he was streaming with his window open, he could smell the pancakes, and he looked directly towards the stream and say, "Chad, I found some food. I need to go find the food." And he started to jump up excitedly, and it caused a giant earthquake. And Queso, before leaving, saw in chat where it said, "My entire house fell apart because you jumped, you fat fucker." Meanwhile, Queso just said, "Chat, ban him." As he slams his hand down on the table, it breaks apart. as he runs directly towards Izuku's home, each step causing earthquakes. And as this happened, Izuku and Inko are both just in the dining room, and as Inko set down many different plates of pancakes for Izuku, they could hear the earthquakes, they could feel it, they could feel everything in the house shaking. Izuku was just panicking, and so was Inko, until all of a sudden, Queso burst into their home like the Kool-Aid Man, causing a massive hole through the front door as he tried to fit himself through. And he immediately sees all the pancakes and says, "There's the food!" He starts to run up towards it and starts to eat the entire thing. Like, he was gone immediately. He fucking ran. No, he vanished. Like, they didn't even see him. They just saw that the food was gone, the table was gone, even the plates were gone. And Queso just fucking burped and said, "That was a nice light snack," before rolling himself out of the actual house, causing Izuku and Inko to scream, "What the fuck," in their head. And that is where I end. What if Deku ended up taking Temp-V? I know that he didn't actually take Temp-V in this, you know, part, but I will probably have him do it in the second part. The first part's more lighthearted, as I want to know if people actually are interested in the series or if they're not. The second part, however, will be more dark, so make sure you tune in for that, and like and subscribe. Make sure you turn on the notification bell to stay updated. See y'all next time.